Hey everybody, welcome back to Tackle Tip Tuesday. Today we're starting the first episode of what I promised last week, which was a series on summertime bass fishing. What we're really going to get into is that deep water, hot July, August type of fishing, and which is my favorite time of year to be bass fishing, honestly. I'm not a spring and spawn guy. I want it to be 100 degrees, just sweating. That's what I'm wanting to do. So the first part of this series we're going to do is on deep crankbaits, because that's a great way to catch them summertime. And when I say deep, I'm not talking 10 to 12 foot. I'm talking 15 to 25 rod tip in the water, deep cranking. And I'm going to break into my deep cranking box here and show you guys what I like to do, what kind of baits that I'm picking out. This is a Norman DD22 blueback citrus sides. This right here, Norman DD22 citrus, blue on the top, white bottom. If I picked this camera up and showed you guys, 50 to 60% of the baits that I have in here are blue-backed citrus sides, or they're shad pattern. And that's basically the only two colors that I'm throwing deep crankbaits. Sexy shad, maybe if I was on a herring lake, I'd shake it up a little bit, but that's just what I like to throw. I've had a lot of success with it. The first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to talk to you guys now about what I'm going to do that's going to make this crankbait better and make it catch fish. The first thing that I'm going to do when I take this crankbait out of the box, and it's 10 times out of 10, it's going to be a Norman crankbait. First of all, I just love them. They run true, they run deep, they're affordable, they just have a wobble that's different. Everybody, and I'm not picking on anybody here, but everybody's run out and bought the Livingston deep divers or the Strike King deep divers, and they have their wobble. These Norman DD22s have their own wobble that the fish aren't seeing all the time. I've been throwing them for years. They're like $7 or $8. It'll run. You can make this bait hit the bottom in 23 feet of water if you do it right. And I'll show you guys in a minute how to do it right. But the first thing that I'm going to do, and I've already done it to this one, but when I take this bait out of the box, is I'm going to go to my hook box. And I've got a Mustad, let me find what size it was, size 2 crankbait hook, wide gap. And I'm going to change out both hooks. I had to remember, my mind blanked on what size it was. But that wide gap is going, this is a standard hook right here. This right here is the wide gap short shank, and I don't know if the camera's going to show the difference or not, but this one right here with that short shank, when you hook a fish, it's less leverage when he throws his head around to throw the bait. It's also super sharp, which is just going to make that bait sticky, and that wide gap gives it a little bit extra to grab him. I do that every time, and I'm going to tell you guys, a lot of times when you're catching these fish, they're not feeding. They're just slapping at it, and that hook just makes that bait sticky, and they just stick right to it, and you got them. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm not throwing this bait directly out of the package. I'm going to set that bait on my deck rail, on top of my house, for something for a couple weeks, and I'm going to let the sun bleach it, because I want those bright vivid colors to fade. This one hasn't been done yet, that's why it's showing up so bright on the camera, but I want them to fade and get dull and get hot. It only works in the summertime, Sometimes if I've got my boat parked outside, I'll have the whole front of my deck covered in these crankbaits. And I just want them to fade and get that dull look to them, because nothing's really that bright in the water. And when it gets down 23 feet deep, it just looks natural, and they just seem to bite it better. The next thing that I want to tell y'all is about the rod. I'm going to be throwing it on a 7/6 medium power glass rod. I love glass. It's just, for crankbaits, I know they sell composite rods and stuff, and they claim that they're better. But I'm telling you, I'm old school on this. I like the glass rod. It's just perfect. It suits me. The reel is going to be a Revo winch 5/4-1. It just takes that abuse of throwing that crankbait so well, and it's got enough torque that you're not wearing yourself out all day. When I'm throwing this bait, I'm going to keep my rod pointed directly at where the bait's coming, like coming back to me in a straight line. If you hold your rod off to the left or right so that you can see your rod tip do like this, and you're fighting it all day, and it's going to wear your arms out. And if you just keep it pointed straight at that, it's gonna just save you a ton of trouble if you're gonna throw it all day. And you'll learn what the bite feels like. It's just a weight on the pole, and that's kind of something that you're just gonna have to learn through experience and missing a couple. But it's always on these rods. I'm throwing it on 10-pound test, which I know some people are probably gonna go, 10-pound test? Oh my goodness, there's a big crankbait on 10-pound test. Every pound that you add to your line, if you go from 10 to 12, you're costing yourself probably a foot and a half of depth. And we're deep cranking. We're not shallow cranking where we're trying to get them out of cover. And I mean, sometimes we are trying to get them out of cover. It's just 20 feet deep, but it's just a little different. If you can't get your crankbait to that cover, then you're never gonna have to worry about getting it out. So I'll take my chance with losing a few baits, or a few fish, if 9 times out of 10 I'm going to get that big bite that I wouldn't have got otherwise. Now, where are we going to throw these big crankbaits? We're going to throw them off of points, on humps, riprap, maybe brush piles. You're going to get hung. But those points and humps is really what I'm focusing on. Something with some rock, some pea gravel maybe, road beds, things like that. And it's really a great summertime bite, especially if it gets hot, and it'll grab those reaction bites for you. I think it'll help you guys out to put that in your arsenal as something new to try. I know a lot of people are scared of it. They pick it up, throw it 3 casts. It's also a great search bait. It'll let you know if fish are there, and it'll get a school fired up. I know last summer I was fishing a roadbed at a lake here in North Carolina, and like I fished the roadbed for 20 minutes and didn't get a bite, throwing a Carolina rig. I picked up a deep diving crankbait. I made 3 casts, and I caught 25 pounds. I made 3 casts before I got a bite, and the next 5 casts I caught a fish and had 25 pounds in the boat. Like that. It was awesome. It was in the afternoon. It was actually me and my dad, so between us, in about 5 casts, we had 25 pounds. And it was just incredible. It just, once they got fired up, they would not hit that Carolina rig. They wouldn't hit a shaky head. They didn't hit a jig, but they'd hit this crankbait on a hot afternoon. So guys, keep that in mind. It's something different to try. Please like and subscribe, comment, let my sponsors know that you like the videos and that you like what you're seeing. And thanks to all of them for making this possible. So guys, thank you. Tune in next week, and we'll get back into another aspect of summertime fishing. Thanks guys. Bye.